Hello everyone, and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host Aaron, and for today's video we're going to be doing our weekly news roundup. I have compiled all the large and sometimes small stories in the Action RPG universe, and I'm going to be bringing them to you all in one video. As always, I will share my thoughts. Please feel free to share yours in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to support smaller channels. Alright, let's jump right into this. Starting off with my current favorite game. Not just ARPG, but the main game I am playing right now, which is of course Last Epoch. Now, a month ago we got their biggest update yet, 7.9, and that update completely changed the game for the better. Now they are starting to drop tips and hints on what is coming for 7.10. Now this patch isn't going to be as large as 7.9, but it is bringing lots of needed content to the game, starting with a loot filter. Now, if anybody out there has ever played Path of Exile, you are familiar with loot filters. And what they are saying, the people over at 11th Hour Games, is that this loot filter will be as basic or as complex as you want it. They just have like a little picture here that shows kind of what it'll be like. Show all exalted items, hide all normal items, hide all magic items, hide all mage items. It's just an example. And then on top of that, you will be able to import loot filters that other people have created and then modify those loot filters if you want to tailor it to exactly what you're looking for. I actually made an entirely separate video on this information that they dropped, and I will link that at the end of this video. The other thing that they talked about was refining skill specs in patch 7.10. So right now, when you respec any skill in the game, if it was level 20, which is the max, it goes all the way down to 0. So it's pretty punishing if you want to test out certain things or try something different. You basically have to start completely over with that skill. So they're going to be changing that with this update. Currently, despecializing skills placed in a specialization slot are always set to level 1. Starting with patch 7.10, this minimum skill level will scale with character level. This is intended to make respecs feel less punishing while still preventing hot swapping of skills. Like it. They also dropped, and this one isn't anything that's required for the game, it just makes the game feel so much better and again a lot more professional. So what you're looking at right now is the skills and specializations windows for Last Epoch. And on here, this is the breakdown of all the skills that are possible for the Primalist class. Now, the difference between what it is now and what they want to do is right now it only shows you the skills that you have unlocked. Where on here, it'll show you every single skill for the Primalist class. It'll show you the base skills, and then the specialty skills based upon your specialization. It'll tell you're allowed to click on each skill to see what the tree looks like, and it has these little symbols here which will tell you what type of damage that skill does. So again, this isn't anything that is required to make the game great, but it is very, very cool, and if you've been playing this game, it'll be nice to be able to look at different skills, see what kind of damage they do. It again adds more professionalism to the game. Rounding out Last Epoch, yesterday they dropped on us some changes coming to the crafting system. Now, they also mentioned that new runes and new glyphs are going to be coming, but that's more of a teaser because it won't be a part of 7.10, but at least we know that is in the works. Now, what they want to change is that they feel that the damaging fracture and the destructive fracture are a little too punishing when it happens. It basically makes the item unusable, and I do feel that a little bit. Anytime that happens, I normally just scrap the item because it's no longer that top tier gear that you're looking for. So they're looking at scaling that back a little bit. On top of that, you see this little picture here that says fractured damaging items. It seems kind of silly, but ultimately if you get a successful craft, it says nothing. But if you get a damaging fracture, it like pops up on the screen and it like slaps you in the face, right? So the idea is that they want an equally positive message when something pops up good, and then obviously a negative message when something pops up bad. So down here they just throw out like a little screenshot that says critical success +1 to your minion attack speed. Now, a critical success would be different than a regular success, and they don't know what that means yet. They're actually looking for feedback on that, but there's going to be different levels of success, just as how there is different levels of when the craft does not go through. So those are the 4 points, or 4 days of updates from last Epoch. Torchlight 3 has officially made it to Action RPG. Now, I've only been playing this game 2 or 3 weeks. I have a level 20 character, so I'm fairly new to it, but I do understand the mechanics of the game and currently know the state of it. Now, what we're going to be talking about is they've dropped information for State of the Game Week 12 and Week 13, so we know what they're working on, and we kind of know when the next patch is coming. So for Torchlight 3 right now, what's coming in the next update is they're going to be adding a training dummy, which all good ARPGs should have. It's kind of nice to be able to test different skills, different gear in a controlled environment, and you can see those damage numbers where what does what. Kind of become a staple for most ARPGs. Again, in this game, they are going to be changing the XP curve. When this update drops, I will do a separate video breaking down everything about it. But ultimately, the level of monster you're fighting, based upon your character level, the XP curve will be different now, and it's supposed to be less punishing, so it's supposed to be better for the players, so that is always good. And then the current Dusk Mage class is going to be completely revamped, so we kind of get to see how that light and dark and all that different things work with the Dusk Mage, so hopefully that turns out good. Now, this patch was supposed to drop last Wednesday, and it did not. It didn't come out. But what we did get is on their Discord, we got some nice owls. That's what they put out for us. Not kidding. The up-and-coming patch has been delayed to next week. As a tribute for this news, we post these birds as our apology. I guess it's better them saying something than nothing. I don't know. I felt that was funny. So that's what we got for the state of the game for Week 12. Now when we're looking at Week 13 for Torchlight 3, let's keep going up. What they're going to be doing is changing up the UI scale and the ability for widescreen, okay? I tell this to all developers, anybody that I ever talk to that makes games. The UI for action RPGs is normally too large. It normally takes up too much of the screen, so if you're running down or trying to attack an enemy down, it always gets in the way. I don't know why game developers do not make a simple option to remove it. Now you're probably thinking that sounds crazy. When you play a game enough, you have all the keys memorized. Most of the time, you do not need a UI at all. And then if you did want one, obviously you can put it back on the screen for while you are learning the game. So what Torchlight 3 has done, and he goes through all this stuff about didn't want to do it, they made him do it, and he came up to a good way, is there's going to be a UI scale. You can see that right here. And basically this UI scale makes it larger or smaller based upon how much you want your user interface, the size of it, to look on the screen. So I mean, for sure that is better than nothing. Last Epoch? Why? And then down here, they are ultimately going to be changing widescreen and ultra widescreen, where you can either fill up your entire screen, or you can squish it and have black bars. So that's not available yet, but that is coming. So they're going to be working on the resolutions. They're going to be changing up the Dusk Mage. You're going to be getting a trainee dummy. You're going to be getting a new XP curve, and then the UI scale slider. Can't have weekly news without Path of Exile. Right now I'm on MMO Bomb. Check this out. We've got good news and bad news regarding Path of Exile. Before Heist goes live, Grinding Gears Games will change how the game stores its data, resulting in faster patching, especially with the standalone launcher. That will come as a relief to players who found themselves waiting half an hour or more for a small patch, while the Steam version of the game downloads and installs in the same patch, or the same patch in just a couple of minutes. For that matter, Steam Patcher will also be a lot faster too. Now, the bad news. This will require a complete re-download of the game regardless of your platform. You won't need to uninstall anything, but it will take a lot of time and bandwidth, so prepare yourself for a long wait before you get into the game once this update 3.11.2 goes live. The full re-download does come with some additional benefits though, including improvements to texture quality, audio, and engine/renderer. So you are going to have to completely re-download your Path of Exile. That being said, even though you got to wait a little bit, in the long term, the patches will be a lot quicker, and you're going to get some better quality from the game. So that is news. Don't go to play Heist and realize you can't play it because you haven't re-downloaded the game yet. On top of that, like normal, compete to kill Path of Exile's Awakener, win a cash prize. Path of Exile's Grinding Gears Games is teaming up with the community streamer Zizarin this month to host a boss kill event. You can kill the Awakener, you can win a cash prize. So, a couple of criterias to enter this, and you can win $11,000. Gotta be number one. You need a team to actually do this so people can sleep and figure out. The goal is simple. Kill the Awakener while playing in Heist, hardcore SSF mode. The rewards include both hard cash and microtransactions. The event begins on Heist release September 18th, and remember, you can only be eligible for the cash prize if you're playing Heist Hardcore SSF League. Grinding Gears Games is creating 2 custom ladders, one for order and one for number of kills on the Awakener. 11 grand. Moving over to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now this will be a quick story, but ultimately Ubisoft has come out and said that Assassin's Creed Valhalla will run at 60 frames per second at 4K on the Xbox Series X. I want to see that before I believe it, but if that's the case, that is pretty impressive, I have to say. I know this isn't a PC story, so I don't really like it either, but yeah, 60 frames per second at 4K resolution on Xbox Series X. On top of that, additionally, the game's release date has been brought up 1 week. You honestly do not hear that actually, you never hear that. That's probably the first time I have heard that for the year. Additionally, the game's release date has been brought up 1 week and will now release on November 10th across all platforms. The accompanying press release stated the following regarding the Xbox Series X and S version of the game. That's where it just says on here, Assassin's Creed Valhalla will run at 60 frames per second in full 4K resolution. Time will tell. I feel like you're not going to believe this next one. Amazon Game Studios is hiring for another game. Now you're probably thinking, yo, you mean they're hiring people to work on New World that was delayed a year? Nope. Oh, they must be hiring people to work on Crucible, which was dropped and then pulled back off the market because of all the problems it had. Nope. Oh, maybe they're hiring people for the new Lord of the Rings game they're working on. Nope. Maybe they're hiring people to bring Lost Ark to the West because we've all been waiting for that. Nope. We still don't have a playable, functional, big game from Amazon Game Studios, but they are hiring for another new game. Obviously, they have the money to do it. We are hiring for our team here in San Diego, making an unannounced game. Lots of openings, not a requirement to move to San Diego. Come build the future with us. We're a company of pioneers. It's our job to make bold bets, and we get our energy from inventing on behalf of our customers. Success is measured. Currently, there are 25 open positions requested on Amazon's job site for the San Diego location. Amazon Game Studios has been hard at work with New World, a popular up-and-coming action survival-inspired MMO that recently completed a preview playtest. I mean, this seems crazy. Another game. Another one. Supposedly it's supposed to be sci-fi, and the people that they want hired for it have MMO RPG experience in creating a story and are familiar with Unreal Engine. New games incoming. Ubisoft announces Prince of Persia Remake and Immortals Phoenix Rising. Now, yesterday I made an Immortals Phoenix Rising video. It basically plays the 2.5-minute cinematic trailer in 4K and the 11-minute gameplay trailer with commentary. I will link that video at the end of this video if you want to check it out. So ultimately, what we got going on here is this Prince of Persia Remake is going to be dropping January 21st, 2021. It's going to be completely re-rendered, and they're putting in some new character models. So We're going to be getting a remake of the Prince of Persia game. Game was a lot of fun back in the day. We'll see if it holds up to today's standards. And then this new IP, which is Immortals Phoenix Rising. This game used to be what was called Gods and Monsters, and then they completely changed up the name to be more fitting with what the game and the story is actually like. And it is created by the people that made Assassin's Creed. And we will be getting this game December 3rd, and it will launch across all platforms. And when I say all platforms, I mean all. Switch, PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox X, and S. So you'll be able to get that December 3rd. Closing out our weekly news is a game that I am personally highly anticipating, and that is, of course, Corepunk. The good old people at Artificial Court just recently did a Reddit AMA breaking down mounts, professions, and housing. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this article because I'm actually working on a separate video breaking down this AMA, but I did want to touch on it for this news weekly roundup. So basically what we know is that housing will be in this game, but it's only going to be in the game when the game fully drops. So there's not going to be in an early access, a closed beta, or an open beta. Like, this game will only have housing once the game fully drops. On top of that, mounts will require certain levels and in-game gold to unlock. So Corepunk will have mounts. Now, it is mildly interesting that I always talked about how the pacing of this game feels really, really slow. Maybe the idea is that you're supposed to feel slow when you're walking around or running, which then makes you want to purchase a mount so that you can go faster. Makes sense to me. And then lastly, there will also be 4 gathering professions that they talked about, which are the Skinner, the Gatherer, the Miner, and the Lumberjack. All right, everybody, we have come to the end of our weekly news roundup. I want to hear from you. What news, what topics, what websites should I be looking at to make this Saturday news briefing as informative as possible? Let me know in the comment section below, or you could join the official Action RPG Discord. We now have 320 members, great conversations every day. The idea is to create a gaming community that could jump from game to game together, so you never start the server alone. Link for the Discord in the description below. That's it. Stay home, stay safe. Do not forget to join the official Action RPG Discord. Aaron, out.